All right, look, so this is just a pre-warning. Don't tell me that I didn't warn you. This is a long video. I just finished up editing it. You can see the two laces either side there. But I just finished editing up this video. Let me go to some natural light. Just finished editing up this video. It is an incredible video. One thing about this video is I had no videographer with me. It was Dany, Ciaran, and I, and Esteban came in at some point, and Billy. So yeah, we were obviously presenting in different parts. Billy was presenting some biohacking stuff. Ciaran was going through the copywriting that he does for client ad campaigns. Obviously, Dany was going through client ad campaigns. I was going through lead generation with Facebook ads for the agency, talking about systems, structures, sales, client expectations, just a bunch of different stuff. But anyways, my point is, didn't have a videographer, so a lot of this is quite shaky and it's kind of, what I liked about this one, was just the fact that it was like so raw. I decided, I took stuff that is very raw. The issue with that is it's very contextual. So unfortunately, am I in the middle? Yeah. One thing about this is because it's so contextual, sometimes it might be a little hard to follow because you kind of have to be there to understand the broader spectrum of it. But I've tried to pick clips where even if you weren't at this Meridian Mastermind, you still understand what's going on and you can still take some golden nuggets. And I can tell you guys right now that this video is an hour. It is a long video. I know it is, but you are gonna pick out so many tidbits about copywriting, about advertising, about breaking up your about campaign budget optimization, about like client expectations, about how I actually managed to scale my online businesses so quickly, about a little bit about my background and my youth and what I was like. I talked about that at lunch. You guys actually got filled in on the clothing line that is launching in a month. Like, there's just a lot that goes on in this. It is an incredibly valuable video if you stick around for it. If you're a little patient at times with it, where you might not follow or you might not quite just hear what the other person's saying, but trust me, it is such a valuable video. So I want you guys to go absolutely crazy in the comments section. Give this video a like. Go crazy in the comments section. Let me know what your favorite aspect of it was. What was one tidbit that you took away? And for the first 24 hours of uploading this video, I will be responding to every single comment, which I'm really bad at. And my team shouts at me because I'm just so bad at responding to comments. I'm too busy doing real work, but I'm gonna do it this time. So enjoy the video, be patient with it. Let me know what your favorite part of it was. I'll see you guys in the next one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at Meridian Mastermind 10.0, I believe. I think this is the 10th one in, what, 19 months? 18 months? 18 months. So, 10th Mastermind in 18 months. We are here at a place called Uncommon in London. Funnily enough, we're in meeting room 3, but funnily enough, I was looking at this space in November. So I went December 2018, January 2019, I actually went to Bali, as you guys probably remember, for 2 months. But my intention was when I got back to get an office here in London. So I was looking at some different office spaces, and this is the one that I love the most. This place is literally Uber drive, like 10 minutes from my house, but I was gonna get e-scooters for the entire team, and I think with like an electric scooter it only takes probably around like 5-10 minutes as well. But Uncommon, I freaking love the vibe in here, so we managed to lock in meeting room 3 for the event. And if I ever do get an office, which I've decided against, just because I'd rather have an actual better physical home, this will be the one. What's going on? What's going on? What y'all sit for? Wherever you want. We're all just sitting on this. How you doing? What's going on, man? I didn't know you was coming. Yes, we arrived back in London last night at like 10 p.m. or something. We were in Iceland and the wind just got so bad that like the car almost started shaking. So there was like a 4-hour delay on the flight. So, welcome to the Meridian Mastermind 10.0. Obviously I've talked to you guys all privately. It's good to see you guys, it's good to see your faces. This is a very intense 2 days. Obviously you guys know this already. There's no hiding. I mean, some of the stuff that we did at the last mastermind was literally get you to pull up your campaigns, and between Dany, Ciaran, and I, we're going to scrutinize them. We're going to tell you what you're doing wrong, and in some cases we will literally even rewrite them for you just to show you how we would do it. So there's no hiding, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately. There's no hiding. It's a very intimate event. We have a set itinerary, but if there are questions related outside of it, obviously, you know, there's gonna be breaks, there's gonna be lunches. Just ask me, ask Dany, ask Ciaran. And there's really not much else that I can say other than ask as many dumb questions as you need. Ask as many specific questions related to client campaigns, or maybe you guys have started running ads for your agency. You guys have already seen the itinerary. Day one is heavy on service delivery for your clients, as well as lead generation through ads for your agency. Day two is more specific on sales, operations, and Billy Boy should be coming in as well for a 90-minute segment. Him and I will riff about basically biohacking, sleep optimization, etc., etc. Any questions? No? All right, we'll roll into the first segment. So, you guys know Dany, right?
Colombian ad wizard.
The Colombian ad wizard. You guys know Dany. What can I say about Dany? Okay, yeah, he'll roll into the presentation and it'll tell you about his background growing up on a farm and how he got donated a computer, and the rest is history. Alright, let's get into it.
That's where I kind of got my first start in Facebook ads, and e-com pretty much went downhill. But over those years, I collected a lot of skills in Facebook ads, funnel building, and copywriting. Started to outreach clients online, specifically in the fitness niche, and I've started building out their funnels. And now I've began running the ads for them as well. And I've probably spent, I would say, around $30,000 to $40,000 combined with all my clients, only on the warm audiences. So I work with my girlfriend in the business. She operates that, so she has more of an idea. But spent around $40,000 combined, had some good return on ad spend, and now we're moving into cold traffic since I've started my agency, and basically looking to scale their businesses and bring on some more clients.
Best campaign today was a 4-month campaign, and we invested 40K, and it was 8 something ROAS, so it was 320K. But that was pretty good with a webinar funnel selling a $1,000 info product. And with e-commerce clients, I'm working with e-commerce that at 20K, 30K a month, and they want to get to that 100K a month. And I'm getting a ROAS between 3 and 5, but I know I can get.
Fun in the business, we built such a good company culture. So not only just the company culture and the clients that we work with some very, very exciting clients. In full transparency, with the reach that I have because of my social media, I can pretty much hire anyone from any company. I mean, the beautiful thing is, especially with LinkedIn, you can pretty much poach anyone from any company if you have the right company culture, the right fit, and if it just makes sense. So my point in saying that is the fact that Ciaran and Dany, the reason I don't have a bigger team is, first of all, because you'll learn tomorrow, I like to be just ruthlessly efficient and lean. And streamline. And to me, adding another team member, it's not only just the fact that, yeah, that takes away from the bottom line, it's also just the fact that it takes away my time in managing a team. That's the worst part about having extra team members, in my opinion. So my point with all this is I can tell you with just full confidence right now that you are sitting in front of one of the, in the entire world, probably one of the top 100 media buyers.
So we slowly release the work you've done for them, even if you did it in a day or in a few hours.
Super, super important point he's making right there.
Can you you do like an ad or something and you report to them, or I don't.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, let me after I finish this, if there is doubt, we can work on them. So clients are like a dimmer, their patience is like a dimmer. The more time you spend without communicating with them, their patience goes, because they start forgetting about you, they remember they are paying you, blah blah blah. So you have to, every time you show them some of your work or some of your numbers, like, oh, we sold this thing or that thing, the dimmer goes back a little to zero, and you want to keep it like close to zero. I mean, you let it run a little, and then when you feel like it's been some time without talking to them, you throw it back to zero. So we use Slack for our communication with all of our clients. If anyone's interested on looking at it, at some of it. So I'm gonna go over this after this, but this is our Slack channel. So each client has their channel. So for example, Agent Smart, blah blah blah.
Thing with it now, in my opinion. Okay, so that's that. It still hasn't dried.
It's pretty. It's gonna look the
Is this
same.
large?
This is large.
I feel like, why is this so like, it's too marbly now?
As in the wash.
Yeah.
Do you have the other ones?
Yeah, the house.
Because I washed them twice.
Wait, they changed it. It's no longer raised.
Nor that one.
What the fuck? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Esteban. You guys remember Esteban as my old sales guy, one of the members of the team, the coaching staff, etc., etc. Raise the camera a little. So, Esteban also has a background in fashion. He has one of the fastest growing fashion podcasts in the world, where he interviews people
In the fashion
industry. So Esteban is helping me out with the clothing line, with alteration, stuff like that. So this, I mean, we might as well just call this first season the Marvel season, because like this used to be more of like a jet black, and then this was raised, and then the private victories on the back. So this looks sick, right? But first of all, I don't know why they didn't like.
I think it just came off after the wash.
After your wash?
I washed them twice.
Twice?
Yeah, well you have
Yeah,
to.
but mine I washed maybe like 6 times.
Yeah,
It's been to dry cleaners like 6 times, and it's still, that's fine. The back is fine. Fit wise, is that good?
I like it. It's
Let's try the hoodie, so this is still wet.
like overweight people.
Your heavier fans.
Yeah.
This feels, what do you think of this material compared to the old one? I like this a lot better.
I like cotton better. The thing
Is this
is
100% cotton?
that's 100% cotton.
Okay.
The thing is that cotton's a little bit more unpredictable and it wears out faster.
This is, the arms are too much.
It's also wet.
Okay, so guys, just keep in mind, these are still prototypes, and Esteban literally brought them wet as shit. So yeah, but I don't know, I'm thinking about it.
But if you want to do a video, I think it's better if you just give them an insight on the sampling process. I mean, the fact that they're not perfect is cool because it's
I'm
part of the development
That's
process.
very, very true. But I love the hood. It sits perfect. That's exactly how I want the hood to sit. So this is cool. It's the arm length. Like that needs to be tucked in like that. That's that. So that's the private victories.
That's the best part of the video.
That's private victories. Is that your ringtone?
I just thought I'd play that if you were going to
The intention was good. The delivery was a little bit.
It needs to be taken down by like 1 or 2 centimeters.
I have mine. I think 1 might be because 2 maybe might be a little bit more. A little bit too much.
He's got his like. Are we talking 1 inch or 1 centimeter?
So let's say.
Well-
Because if we go 3, I think it's going to be a little bit too short.
The hood strings, as you can see, really high quality, amazing stuff. Honestly, the fact that these are the second prototypes, it's funny, the first prototypes were actually like 100% perfect to roll out. And these prototypes are actually, to be honest, 100% perfect to roll out. It's just in the same way that we are about the education company, in the same way that we are about the agency, same thing with the clothing line. Like, we are absolute perfectionists.
Plus, you added a whole lot of variables after the first prototypes. You added the stone wash.
Yeah, so that is another thing. With the first one, it was perfect, bang on perfect, and very simple. And then I decided to add
more stuff.
As I said, a bunch of different variables. I wasn't happy with some of the strings. I wasn't happy with the actual material of the jumper. And I added a bunch more stuff, and that obviously that added complexity. So Yeah. Maybe did they think? I don't know why this isn't raised though. I don't know why this isn't raised. That's a big. Yeah, I'm really not sure why that isn't raised, and I'm not sure why this isn't raised.
It looks good though.
Do you think it looks better?
I mean, we can still. The thing is that we still have time to make it better. The thing with fashion is that
It's launching in
but
45 days.
You're gonna sell it in the party.
Yeah, no. So it's being sold in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's
To the
like
pre- to
for
the pre-
selling. This is.
I mean,
this
look,
is dope for the price you're selling it at. And here's the thing, dude. Like you can still work on developing even better products as you're selling them. There's no reason for the launch to be like meticulously perfect, especially for the event because they're gonna be there.
Yeah.
So I think the products they could be better for your taste, as you said. The fit might be a little bit better, the way the logos are raised, the little details like that. But that's fashion. Like fashion, you're gonna because it's such a complicated product to develop. There's always going to be variables that are going to need to be worked on.
It's not exactly that we're.
As long as we have a good solid piece to start selling, an MVP, that's going to be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, even just this. I mean, it's fucking sick. I
like it, dude.
I'd work at home in this. I'd roll up to the club in this. I mean, this is fucking sick. Like this is fucking sick. I think it's incredible. I think the hoodie. Obviously, we need to make a few alterations to it, but nonetheless, the hoodie's fucking.
I think it's dope. Yeah, it's a little bit long, but
I mean, apart from like, I would wear it right now if it wasn't just the arm length thing. But then again,
it's not bad, dude.
I mean, just do that.
Also, technically, if this was a little bit stronger,
Then that would, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But I want to see the
Like, it's very marble.
The thing with mineral washes, because they literally do that by throwing a stone. That's literally how they do it. So it's not predictable at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They put like, that's why it's called mineral wash. It's like little stones with like a sort of paint, and they just throw them into like a machine wash, and it paints it with the stone. That's why you get that effect.
Oh shit.
If you want to do it manually, you literally have to grab stones and just roll them on the fabric.
Well, the other thing that obviously, needs to be discussed is the fact that this is, so one thing with the clothing line is what other entrepreneur-based clothing lines are there? Like none. Like I've seen some like just the most fucking like pathetic shirts where it says like work harder or hustle hard or I'm a hustler. And it's like, wow, like if you don't want to get laid, get your hands on one of those shirts for $40. So the fact of the matter is there's no one who's doing a clothing line that represents entrepreneurs in a way that doesn't make the general public cringe. So this is really gonna be the first, I mean, if there is, let me know in the comments section, because have you found one? No.
I mean, there's a couple, but nothing matters.
No, I've seen a lot of like fitness ones where it has an entrepreneur sort of tied into it, but nothing like pure entrepreneurship, like attire for entrepreneurs. It's comfy, that still looks good, that represents entrepreneurs as a whole and the spirit of entrepreneurship. And my point is that I'm trying to get across is we're not doing, this isn't some shitty print on demand that we're doing. This has been a long process and everything is bespoke and everything is, as I said, we're not just doing some print on demand crap. Like this is bespoke stuff. This has been a long process. Obviously I've had to bring in outside counsel to help me because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing if I try to do this all from scratch. So yeah, these are second prototypes. I don't know what the actual barometer is, but the first prototype was like here in terms of simplicity and perfectly on point. And this one is like here in terms of we've added a bunch of extra shit, which is really cool. And then we'll just swing it back and it'll be absolutely perfect for the soft launch. So any of you guys that are coming to the six-figure or basically the Grow Your Agency party on the 17th of October, which you're allowed to come to if you have bought Six-Figure Estimate, if you're a Six-Figure Estimate customer, you are invited. It is entirely free for you. We will be selling 100 pieces between the two shirts and the hoodie, and you'll be able to get your hands on it before anyone else. So yeah, let's get back to Mastermind.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Is this guy keeping you entertained? Well, no, right? It's boring stuff to listen to. Yeah, I can't bear listening to more 45 minutes on a team meeting.
¿Qué más, güey? A huevo, güey. Okay.
Alright, guys. I'll leave you to it.
Alright, see you, Ciaran.
I'll keep you updated on the.
Perfect. Shoot me a message on
Thanks.
Slack.
Once I finish talking with her, I'll let you know what we discussed.
Alright, awesome. Alright, much love.
Peace
See you,
out.
dude.
So lucid dreaming, this is well said. So this is a great example of how it should be said and how you should go about testing. But the rest ones, why are they cool? So lookalikes, probably shouldn't get into them until you have a bunch of winning interests. And I don't see many interests, so just those two, right?
Yeah.
Lucid dreaming and meditation.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of wings to
Wingsuit
fly.
flying.
That were good.
What is this?
Wings to fly, just like not parachute, but
Oh.
like
Yeah, for example, that's probably gut feeling, right? Like you thought
yeah,
that
because people like want to fly in their dreams. So like people that it
Look,
works.
yeah,
Yeah.
it worked.
yeah.
Yeah, look at it. Like it's sometimes it's just crazy. It's more like an art sometimes. So yeah, I see.
I have one copy and 5 different ads,
Okay, yeah, I probably
And then
need
it's
more
fantastic.
copy and then
and the copy is
If-
like
if-
standard drop shipping. Like
yeah no. Go for the long ass copy.
What is my experience on the internet being jarred like this? Why am I going to read this advert? So to say, one of the best copywriters always used to ask psychological questions at the beginning of something. So for instance, he'd say, do you close the bathroom door when you're at home alone? And straight away you think, do I? Why do I? Because there's nobody there to lock them out. So it's the same with that. Do you remember what you dreamt last night? And then go on from that to...
In terms of ads, I don't know if it's big enough, but they're probably movies. Like, I don't know if Inception appears, but Inception appears, and it's a 5 million audience. So you can get into what was I thinking? You can get into all the biohacking audiences. I suppose all like witchery audiences, like people that believe in Santeria and all that kind of stuff. You can probably get into magic, stuff like that, and just test it. Like this is just again gut feeling. I probably would give it a better thought than I just did in 10 seconds. Surprisingly, we are all going to get surprised here, like, oh, women are more interested in it. Doesn't give us much, but goddess. So yeah, as I thought, like probably some Santeria stuff, wake up world, so that we can just go at it. So it's holistic science, so you can start going with holistic science audiences and see what's up. Start putting some money in it. And so let's see, wake up world, it's like a mandala stuff. Yeah, that seems lucid dreaming kind of people. And look, it has 3 million people that liked it, so probably there's some money in there. Stuff like that. Yeah, we would probably first rely, like, yeah, well, as I thought, like psychedelics, like fractal thingies, daily vibes. I don't know what that is. Cheerful nihilism. All that thing about consciousness appears to be something related with lucid dreaming. So maybe a good pain point, a good like hook is flying, but maybe there's also this thing about talking with your dead relative, something like that, and maybe you can start building up stories on that. Like
we would make them with a client like Ohrring. Looking back now, I sort of kick myself because they offered me equity in the company, which I turned down because I like to keep things streamlined, and I don't like, that's also why it's only the past 3-4 months we started doing a base plus percentage of ROAS.
Profit. So that there's no cost. So that's money in their fucking pocket. It's so funny. I had one of our clients, Chris.
He came to London because I did a 2-day webinar build for him, and I did a 2-day webinar build for him, and we had just made him 65,000, I think, or 65, or was it 56?
yeah,
I think it was 56. I think it's 56,000 after ads. So we just made him $56,000. And I remember he came to London and I bullied him because he didn't have any watches. So then he went and bought like a $40,000 Rolex. But like, that's the thing, like legitimately I was like, dude, and that's, in full transparency, I charge him 35,000 from pounds to dollars, $35,000 for a 2-day webinar build. That's my price, 35,000. And he didn't even bat an eye. I was like, dude, I already just paid for half of your new, a third of your new Lambo, and that's in our first month. So once again, the only way that I can get away with the large retainers is like, hey, here's an example. It's basically just the ridiculous case studies, right? In your position, I think it's awesome that you're doing mainly retainer plus percentage of ROAS. It's a little more risky, but also the rewards are a lot higher. I wish I'd done that with a lot of our clients, looking back now. But as I said, the reason that I only started doing it in the past 3-4 months was because I wanted to keep things so operationally sound and simple and just organized and predictable. And that's what obviously the retainer gave me, was just predictable monthly cash flow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's much better that you do percentage of. I think our last. Okay, no, that's a lie. Our newest client that's just coming on in 2 weeks, and then our last 2 were fixed. And then the 2 before that were percentage of ROAS. So 3 out of the last 5 have been base plus percentage of ROAS. And one of that base plus percentage of ROAS, that deal I invoiced, that is so we do $2,500 a month, pounds, so I think that's $3,200 a month. Yeah, $3,200 a month. So 2,500 pounds a month plus 25% of return on ad spend. And we just do this for InfoPower clients. Yeah. And with that client, I billed them, was it 9,600? Was our percentage?
It was 8.6.
Huh? 8.6?
Extra.
Yeah, so 8.6. So that comes out to what, 11,000 pounds?
Yeah, yes.
So.
It's the model I wanna.
Yeah.
Actually.
How much are you charging now?
So I've been doing commission basis. So I went in there and basically helped them launch it, set it all up. I was getting 40% to 35%.
Well, so you're making a lot of money then.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, but it's a lot of work. So I feel like.
Yeah, but that's much better. Like for example, if I took 20% of
one of the webinar funnels.
of one of the webinars, I would have made $250,000. Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, when I done the launch, was like these people, they didn't have any system in place. I helped them literally build it all out.
yes, same here.
Yeah, so
Same here. Like I'm thinking of like the clients that I had. Like there's one client which I'm thinking of specifically where last year, mid last year, I helped them build out a webinar funnel, and they do like $250K a month now, and they're still using that same funnel. So yeah, I mean, if they're doing $250K a month and I'm taking 25% of it because that's what we have set up contractually, then
forever, like.
then they're just gonna be like, why the fuck am I giving this person, what is that, 62,500 a month?
Yeah.
Like, thanks for your funnel. I'm just gonna go build a new one. Or just pay someone else $20K to build a new one. So that's why personally with funnels, I like to just charge flat fee, because the thing is with a funnel, once you built it, it's been built.
Yeah.
The thing is it's fine charging for a recurring thing a percentage, because the thing is, once they start paying that, they could be like, oh well, I'm not gonna pay that percentage. They'll be like, okay, cool. You're also not gonna make that money. So it's like, yeah, you don't have to give me any money, but then you also won't have any money to give.
Yeah.
Whereas with a funnel, it's you build it one time, and then if they're sending you, if you're billing them $5K every month because you built out a webinar funnel and it's making them $20K a month, then they're just like, okay, this is really cool. Thanks for that. I'm just gonna go pay some other dude to like basically duplicate the same funnel for $5. So just peace. So if I were you, once again, because you have that case study with the first month where you did 20K, I just charge something like, I personally charge at this point pounds, anywhere from 25 to 30,000 pounds for a webinar build. Yeah. But also we have automation. So I told you guys I had the Infusionsoft automation. I built out that entire thing in ActiveCampaign, and we built it out for our clients to pay 5 figures a month or more. They get that for free because they already have a webinar. But for clients that don't have a webinar, obviously you build out the webinar, we use the automation, we set up the automation. Ciaran writes the emails as well.
Yeah. 20 emails.
30 emails. There's a lot of emails, and I'll charge anywhere from 25 to 30,000 for that. For me, just my side, it takes me 2 days of work. to actually build out the slides for them as well. So that's what I do. And one of the ways that I sell it is like, oh, well, 30K a month's like a 30K is a large upfront fee. Well, I'm like, one thing that I say is, look, if you could, I tell them, I'm like, a webinar funnel is, to me, if you could give me a 2-bedroom London apartment or a webinar funnel, I will take the webinar funnel, because the webinar funnel, if executed correctly, because it's done it for me and my clients, will literally make you multi-7 figures in the next few years.
Yeah.
So give me an apartment or give me a webinar funnel, I'll take the webinar funnel. When you look at your net worth, even though you can't actually put it on there, if you have a fully functioning webinar funnel, that asset might be worth more than your house. That is an asset. So that's one thing that I've started telling, like the last client that I was selling that to, he lived in Florida, and I told him, I was like, dude, if you could give me a 2-bedroom Miami beachfront property or a webinar funnel, I'll take the webinar funnel, because that thing's gonna make like 2-3 million in the next few years, right? As it has for my clients, exhibit number 1, as it has for me, exhibit number 2. So that's one way that I sell. I'm like, hey, look, it's a low up. So I mentioned the fact that it's an asset that once they have it, it's yours. Like, I'm building, it's yours. You have that thing will work for you for years. That's number one way that I pitch it and I frame it. The second thing I say is, hey, look, you cannot build out this webinar. Like, I cannot build out this webinar funnel for you, and organically in the next year you might do 100K, and you don't have to pay me X amount. Or let's just say in your case, you'll do 100K organically in the next year, and you don't have to pay me the 10K funnel build. Or I build this out for you, and your conversion rate literally triples, because rather than just a long form sales page, you have a 2-hour indoctrination sequence with contingencies and automations and 30 follow-up emails and this and that. And of course, even just from organic traffic, of course they're gonna make 300K compared to 100K, because one just isn't, because the same leads are coming through, but the actual sales process is 10x in terms of efficiency and output, and so is the actual conversion rate. So I explain that to them. I'm like, hey, look, keep your money and make 100K, or pay me, in your scenario, pay me 10K and make 300K from the same amount of traffic. We're not even talking about running ads, just from the same amount of traffic. Because if we look at any process in any system, your conversion rate has exponentially increased because you have a much better sales process. So those are the two ways that I would feel. Like, I mean, if you had a client that was like 750 a month, and just like, yeah, drop it. But like, both those clients are making you 5K a month.
Yeah, on average, when I start, like next month, I reckon I'll be able to do
3K a month, right?
Yeah.
At below 10K, you don't drop clients.
Cool.
Yeah, below 10K, you just suck it up. You just don't drop clients. But then that is the action to deal with it. But then if we look back at the actual problem, the problem is the fact that you don't have enough leads. Like, at this point, if a client pisses me off, I don't give. I honestly couldn't give. If they pay me 15K, I don't give, like, fuck off. I couldn't care less. And the best part is that actually helps retention so much, because my clients know that I don't give a fuck. Like, if they leave, couldn't care less. Go have fun. Go have fun with your other crappy agency that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Cool, leave. Because I have that lead flow, right? And we get all of our clients through Facebook ads.
So you're saying just triple down on outreach, and then.
Well, what I'm saying is like the entire thing is just a system. Like, I have this really good analogy in the program of like a Bugatti. Bugatti was the first car very recently to hit the Ciaran or whatever, to hit 300 miles per hour, and like Bugatti released this like 2-minute video that's super intense about like how things break, like things are much more likely to break and crash at like 280, like the difference between 260 and 280 miles an hour isn't the same difference at, like, it's not a sliding scale as the difference between like 160 and 180. So like that's the same way you look at an agency. Like, if you even think back to like the agency that like Ciaran was working at, right, where he was managing, Ciaran was managing, what was it, like 400,000?
Yeah.
Like Ego says it's so depressed. Managing 400,000 a month in retainers. Ciaran, how many times did something like break and it like blew up your whole agency?
On a daily basis.
There we go, right? Because it's that extra speed, right? So when you're going at that speed and that velocity, something's gonna break. So my point is, whenever I look at a business, any sort of business, I'm always just looking at, and there's a great book called Thinking in Systems
great book called Thinking in Systems. I mean, it's just systems theory. Like, if you're in university and you study, do you guys study in software engineering? Yeah. If you're in
career systems and computer engineer.
Huh?
My career is called
Systems. Okay, so basically, like, you know, most business degrees, anything like that, they're going to teach you systems thinking. It's not revolutionary, but if you are a good business person, then really what you're doing is just building. So, like, the difference between me and other people that I've noticed is just I'm just constantly building a system and removing myself from it, and then I can move on to the next thing. And then I'm stress testing a system and then removing myself, and that's how I've built all the systems in the agency. Is like I had an onboarding system, and it worked well until I stress tested it against
You put more pressure, more flow.
I stress tested it against a more expensive client, or onboarding maybe 3 clients in a week, and it just fucking blew up, right? So you keep stress testing systems. So with you, honestly, all you have to do is look at your business right now, or your agency right now, and look at the different systems. There's certain systems that, for example, through the program, I built up, like, you don't ever have to think about it again. Reporting is a system you never have to think about again, because we've shown you how to do it through literally we're giving you a template in the program for the client Bible. You know that if you need to report, you have your bi-weekly calls with your clients, or you can also do weekly calls. So you've got your client Bible, you've got your bi-weekly calls, and then you also, if there's anything, questions that they have, or anything they want updating on, or you feel as though you should update them on, just send them a loom, okay? So that's, for example, communication. That's a system that I have not been able to optimize further than that. That's pretty much as efficient as I can get with it. So that's communication and reporting. Then we look at invoicing. Always be auto-billing your clients, have your client's card on file, so that way you can bill them your percentage of ROAS. I can't improve that system anymore. The onboarding system is a great example of a system that I've built and I've stress tested, and I can onboard 6 clients in a day, and that system would still work. And you guys, once again, with one click, you can.
Yeah, that's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I was like, this dude.
Yeah, dude, I've had one of our clients runs a almost 8-figure year, multi 7-figure year agency. And some of their clients are Google, Slack, Uber, Google, Slack, Uber, and when I told badass, he sent me a message back and he's like, dude, like, I've never seen an agency like onboard in with that level of just efficiency. And he sent that homework into his entire company, and he was like, why aren't we doing this? Because they're an agency themselves. He's like, why aren't we doing this? Or adding some level of automation to onboarding. So that's a system right there that you got sorted. So you know you have communication sorted, you have invoicing sorted, you have onboarding sorted. So really the only 2 things I see left are lead generation, sales, and service delivery. If you're telling me that you have service delivery locked down, then really the only, like, you're constantly just looking at a system, whether that, I don't care what business it is, you're always just looking at the system and looking at where the breaking points are and where you can optimize. And there's certain things, for example, in the education company, that I just can't get any better. Like, for example, one area that I looked at with the education company, I was just like, the program isn't where I need it to be. So I improved the program. And at where it is right now, I mean, I can still improve. Actually, now, yeah,
Nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect. Actually, there are certain things, like, for example, that onboarding, I mean, it's like 99%. Like, I'm sure I can think of more ways to, like,
sometimes it's not even worth it to keep
to even think about
it. Yeah, because as Iman said, going from 260 to 300 is more difficult from that to go to 160 to 200, even if it's the same delta, but at that speed is much more difficult. So the difficulty curve like just goes up, and is sometimes not even worth your time, like improving it that little percentage. But yeah, I think about it the same way with campaigns. When you are at a really big scale, if you improve a little bit something at a big scale, it will probably make the difference between being profitable or not, because you're spending so much money. So it's the same thing sometimes is good, sometimes it isn't. I do think nothing's perfect, but sometimes it's not even worth looking at it. I mean, Iman could change a little bit the video, and instead of using emojis, use this other thing and this that thing. But that how much better? Oh yeah, 1% better like. But now it's working.
So, as I said, you also want to be looking at basically just knocking down all the systems and processes in your agency. Really, all that's left then, if you're telling me that service delivery wise, you guys got that nailed down and you can take on more clients and that's not an issue, then really the only two things that are left are your sales and your lead generation. Now, sales wise, are like, for example, there's just certain easy wins, like, are you recording your calls?
No.
I mean, that's just like, do you ever get the objection, I need to talk to my spouse?
To be honest with you, I haven't outreached people in a while. I only had one recent sales call, but that was from Backtrack. So moving forward, I haven't even jumped on a call, I'd say, in like 3 months now.
Yes, that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue because your client can act up and they know you won't leave. Because it's always subconscious. Like I just don't, in life, I just don't think you can, the whole fake it till you make it, I think that maybe works a little bit, but I think maybe that works a little, maybe that works on social media and this, but when you look someone like directly in the eye, you fucking know what you can get away with, you know who they are, and I think when you look someone in the eye, you can see straight through them. And your client will see straight through you, and they'll know that like, yeah, they can like fuck you around, right? In the same way that if you're in a terrible relationship and one person knows that the other person just isn't gonna leave, they will treat them accordingly. Right, it's the exact same thing in business. If your client knows that, if your client knows that you won't leave, they'll push that. So that is just a huge issue, just from actually having as much fun as possible with your agency. Is like if you don't have good lead flow, like I even had it. I remember there was a time in March. There was a time in March with the agency where like my lead flow, or no, it was April. Do you remember when? Aura came to an end with Aura Ring because they brought it in-house. Came to an end with Cameron Foos because they brought it in-house. There was another one. Yeah, that was it. No, Ren was earlier. I think it was another, like, basically I lost like 25,000 pounds in retainers. I'm like, oh, I remember I got it. Like in the space of 4 days, they informed me, and I was like, it's like 25K a month, or like 300K a year, 300,000 pounds a year in income. Because once again, there's no extra cost to having those clients because I had a team and staff already in place. So it was basically 300,000 a year lost bottom line profit. So when that happened, I started getting more desperate, and I not because once again, obviously I have the agency still doing very well at the time, and I still have the education company doing very, very well, and like it's not like I needed the money, but it's a little like scarcity switch went off. And I remember at that time, the other client you were talking about, basically there was one of our clients that didn't inform us that she was bringing in-house until the contract ended, and the contract specifically states there's a 30-day notice. So if you want to leave, no issues at all. Just let us know 30 days in advance. It's a rolling month-by-month contract after that 3 months. And basically she didn't inform me until like 2-3 days prior. And I was just like, in a normal scenario like that, I was like, look, and that client was a huge problem client for us. I didn't even want the client. That's the funny. I didn't even want the client. Like I was actually like, now that I think about it, like so happy that they decided to bring it in house, because I think that's been. That client was a very big problem client. That's all I can say. It was a bit of but because I'd just gone through those 3-4 days where I literally lost 300,000 a year in bottom line profit, I was kind of like arguing back and forth, and I never argue with a client. Like we've had a client before where it was 7,800 pounds a month, and they onboarded, and the day before we started running ads for them, their entire business manager got shut down. Like we never run any ads, nothing. Like they moved to Dubai, they moved to Dubai, set up business in Dubai, and their entire business manager got shut down. We couldn't run any ads, so we spent the next 2-3 weeks, once again, obviously talking to Facebook, customer support, just putting tickets forward, different times, just trying to get this business manager and ad account back. Nothing worked. and basically we wasted a month on it, and then that was a $7,800 a month client, and like obviously I refunded that. Well, not obviously, we did a month of work. We had all the ads ready, we had all the audiences ready. In fact, we spent so much fucking time dealing with their Facebook, sending tickets and stuff like that. And then I refunded that client, and that client's like, no, like you've done a month of work, like keep the £8,000, like keep it. And I was like, no, like not at all, blah blah. And that was actually the month prior, funnily enough, to the other scenario. And they were like, no, well, okay, at least please like keep like 30% because of all the work that you've done and the copy you've written, etc. And I'm like, no, like honestly, don't worry about it. And they were like, this client messaged me back and they're like, honestly, like I appreciate the way you do business so much, like really means the world to me. It shows a lot about your character. And that was 30 days prior. I was like basically refunding an 8,000 payment, even though we did the entirety of the work. And technically, because we signed contractually, because we do Google and Facebook, I could have kept that 8,000 a month retainer going for the next 2 months because we still run Google, so we could have just run all their YouTube campaigns. This person had a very good YouTube as well. So technically, I didn't even have to, let alone refund them that first month. We could have just kept going. Like that, he asked, this client asked, he's like, hey, do you mind if we stop now? Because I just don't really see a point, even though I know you guys are running YouTube ads and stuff. Facebook was really what I want to focus on. I was like, yeah, no, sure, no, like, let's tear up the contract, no issues. And as I said, this scenario went on 30 days prior to that other scenario where that client was half the price, was our lowest retainer that we'll ever accept, 4,000. And I was like arguing back and forth about the fucking contract. And my point is, it shows you the fact that like when your lead flow is low, when you take a couple hits, when you're in a scarcity mindset, things will just change so much for you. So don't ever let yourself get to that point. Ever. So the fact that you've had one meeting / sales call in the last 3 months is very concerning, but very, very concerning.
So you're saying basically now focus on getting leads and sales and just focus on
just simple wins, like for example, the fact that you don't record your calls is just horrible. Like that's just such an easy win right there, recording your calls.
I did that mistake. I don't feel like.
I mean, very few people do. Number one, recording your calls, and then even in like Roger's case, like he recorded his calls, but he still didn't think to send the recording of the call to them when they say, hey, this is really awesome, I want to move forward, but my business partner needs to be involved, my team needs to be involved in this decision, my spouse needs to be involved in this decision. In my thinking there, it's like, oh, well then obviously I'm going to send them a recording so they can get a fair representation of the value I bring to the table because they can see the conversation that was had there, not just like, no, I swear, honey, like, this Facebook ad thing works, right? Rather than that, I'd rather they have a recording of the call. So, yeah, I mean, let alone recording, but just making sure that you send it to them after. That's just some easy sales wins. Just looking back over your calls, you'll notice a lot of things that you're doing in terms of your body language, in terms of your tonality, in terms of what you're actually saying, in terms of maybe what you're presenting, in terms of the swing or the ratio between emotional and logical selling. With some of our clients, like our high ticket clients, I don't have to do any more. I don't have to ask them, so are you doing any of this for your family? Or they make like $6 million a year. Like, I think they're far past doing it for their family, right? So so with sales, I'm sure there's a huge quantum leap in terms of improvement. So that's, if we look at the pillars of your agency, all these pillars are all in place. You've got them locked down. That sales pillar is one area that you can improve on, but the one that is really concerning is your lead generation. That is very concerning. Like, that should never happen. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, you have a couple of case studies already, so easier to sell.
Thank you for that answer. And I paid for this weekend, man.
This is 3 writers, well actually that's Woodward and Bernstein, who were responsible for unearthing the somebody help me, Watergate conspiracy, Ian Fleming and Hunter S. Thompson, and this is kind of the image that we all have of writers, which is they're stabbing away in the dark at midnight, smoking a cigarette. They're incredibly inspired, they're tortured souls coming up with bits of genius.
So you?
Exactly. This is what I want to look like. I want to look mildly alcoholic Check. In an old office smoking a cigarette, but actually the reality is that copywriters look like Dany. Because in the same way that Facebook advertising is incredibly formulaic, copywriting is incredibly formulaic, and that's what it should be. Buy a quarter-inch drill, they want to buy a quarter-inch hole. And if you, very specifically, if you walk into a hardware store, you don't want to know that the drill has a titanium bit at the end, you don't want to know that the cordless battery, you want a big sign on the wall saying, this will give you a quarter-inch hole in your wall. Or, because most people don't care about that, you can hang a picture of this. If I go into a cooking, so if I go into a supermarket and I'm looking for a pan, I don't want to know that the pan is 6 inches in diameter and has Teflon coating. I want it to say 4 omelets. That's all I care about. So when you look at these 3 brands, we obviously know that Iman sells 6-figure MMA. We know that Jawline Meat offers a surgery-free alternative to facial toning and that it's simple to use and hands-free. But we don't care about that. We don't care that IAG Media uses advanced targeting or that it offers ROI-driven marketing. If you're going to the owner of a company and you're about to ask them to pay for a $5,000 retainer, they don't care that it uses highly specific advanced targeting because they don't know what that means. They don't care. What they do want to know is that it makes their business money. Again, you want to go to somebody and say, I will make your business money, back that up later, but explain that that is the benefit. So for Jawline Meat, people don't care that it's got silicone grade, medical grade silicone either. They just want to know that it quickly and easily improves your appearance. Again, back that up later, explain why that's the case, but say that it increases your confidence because you're not buying a tiny bit of rubber that you put between your teeth, you're buying confidence. That is what you're investing in. And now knowing your enemy, audience. This is the survey that we did at the beginning of this year about 6-figure SMA students. So I don't know if anybody actually did this or saw what we gave away after that, but we gave away a really expensive laptop, fully spec'd. The reason being is the information in this survey was incredibly valuable. And we know now, for example, that the average person who finds Iman, who buys the course, found him on YouTube. We know that they resonate with his story personally. We know that in terms of triggers, they have quite often gone to university and have been disillusioned. And actually the majority of 6-figure SMA students have bought into the SMA course before and they didn't think it was up to scratch. So we know now, we know that to a T, that we can speak to people in a bit more educated manner about 6-figure SMA, and we can say, we know you've tried this before, we know you're disappointed, here's why this is a better course. And also when we're crafting Copy for Iman, he talks about himself a bit more personally because people resonate with that story. And when we start working with the clients as well, this is an example of the kind of playbook I put together with them. So we go through customer profile, gender, age, profession, interests, following, desires, triggers, avoidances, not. So Lauren Tickner basically sold a course which turned people from personal trainers into online fitness coaches. So for them, it was really important to know what actually annoyed them about being personal trainers. And for us, we might all brainstorm in a room now that it's waking up at 6 a.m. to get like an early client. We might say that it's not making enough money, but actually once we spoke to her and we went through all of these things and we realised what they actually cared about, it was very, very specific. And when we started working with Billy as well, because I'm one of Billy's clients, I started writing the copy and I said, probably like you want people coming to you because they want a 6-pack, they want to look good on the beach. That was the copy I was about to write for Billy. But instead, on my video call with him, he said actually the majority of like, the entrepreneurs I work with don't really care about their appearance. Majority of them want to be able to sleep well because they know that that's what's important and they don't want their performance to be ruined. So for me as a layperson, I want a 6-pack. Entrepreneurs want to sleep, and it was only by speaking to Billy and getting to know his customer profile that I was actually able to craft the copy for him.
I'm not going to dip my toe into that world until I have a lot of knowledge. So that's a matter of I need to gain more knowledge.
Like the years you were reading books and you explained it, I don't know if it was a post or something that you said, oh, it seems like it's been like 18 months only and I grew super fast, but since 14 years...
Years and years. Like people thought that like
So really, 2017 was my breakthrough year, but in the space of 18 months, I went from making 500 to 250,000 a month, like 500 pounds to 250.
In 2 years, yeah.
18 months.
18 months, man.
So you look at that and you're like, oh, like, you know.
What was your number one key to make that happen? Like, what's the number one?
The fact that the 3 years prior to that, I was reading a book a week.
Man, you see the compound effect.
I was going like, and the most beautiful thing is that on my YouTube, you can go back to my 2015 videos, and you can watch. I was vlogging. I was getting like 37 views a vlog. You can watch the videos of me going to the gym. Brooks and Bookmongers, my favorite bookstore. I would go there every Sunday because I couldn't afford to go to Waterstones and buy a new book for 12 or 14 pounds. So I'd have to go to this used bookstore where it was amazing because sometimes like someone would read it once and they didn't even, because I highlight some of my books look beat up. Like a couple days ago I was rereading Civilization and its discontents for like the 4th time. That book is like beat up, like highlights all over the place, notes. But I could find a book that I would pick up in Waterstones for 14 pounds for like £2.50. And like, so I would save 10 pounds. You know, I would save 10 to 15 pounds a month and buy my one book a week. So I would buy 4 books a month for 15 pounds, and that was like my treat to myself. So, you know, the thing is, for 3 years, it's just like I look like a fucking idiot. It's so funny. At school, because I would still physically have to go to school, even though I basically did none of the school work. I would still have to go to school, and I was between 2014 and 2017, I was flipping Instagram accounts, and then I was personal training my friends, and then I was getting into photography and videography, which is how I know how to edit, take photos so well, take videos so well.
That paid off, eh?
Huh?
That paid off.
It's a really useful skill now.
Yeah.
And then obviously I was starting my marketing agency. So I would go to school and I'd only have like 3-4 hours. I would only get 3-4 hours of sleep a night. And then I'd wake up, I'd go to school. So I used to meditate for like 30 minutes a day, and I couldn't do it first thing in the morning. I'd be way too tired. So I used to meditate into my bathroom toilets. It was so fun. Were you? I think you were at afternoon. Were you at afternoon tea? You might not have heard it, but you were at afternoon tea last week.
Yeah.
And my friend to the left, or no, it was 3 weeks ago. My friend Robin, she was telling Tyler, one of our clients, the story of how I used to. Everyone knew that I would be in one of the bathrooms at school meditating. So, because there's nowhere private to meditate. So there was nowhere private to meditate at school. So I would go to the one that like was at the top of the school in the bathroom, lock myself into the cubicle, and meditate for 30 minutes. Like that's like for 3 years I just looked like a fucking idiot. Like everyone thought I was.
How you meditate at 14 though? First, like, what made you get into that? Like,
It just my childhood was just.
How did you discover meditation and take that route? Because so many people would be like, just go a completely different route.
Well, I mean, the thing is, for me, it's like, for me, even in 2014 or 2015, I knew that, like, I knew that it wasn't a matter of, I didn't have a vehicle. So I knew, okay, I don't actually know how to make money right now, and there's no real, I thought about it, I was like, I'm 14 years old, realistically, what ways can I make money, right? I mean, if it was now, I'd just start an agency or do freelance work, freelance graphic design, or Facebook ads, or like a plethora of things that you can do these days. But back then, there was no real way for me to make money. So I was like, okay, so I can't really make money, and I thought I couldn't make money until I was 17, 18 properly. So I'm like, why don't I just read as many books as I can? And then once I was reading a bunch of books, one of the biggest habits of successful people was just having a good morning routine and having routines in general and standard operating procedures and meditating. So I was like, okay, let me just start meditating. And then that's why by the time that for 3 years I was just training myself without even realizing at the time. And then for me it was just once I found a vehicle, right? Once I found the agency business model, that's when things skyrocketed because I had the focus, the discipline, the habits. All I needed was a proper vehicle, and once I found that vehicle, I was just off to the races. So, I mean, I genuinely just, anytime I'm having an issue in the business, I very, very rarely ever think it's a business. I'm just always constantly looking at like, how can I get more performance out of myself?
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
So,
and I had so much energy, it's like I felt like I couldn't sleep because I was like working till super late.
Yeah.
And now I changed, so I don't know what should be the right hours for me to do.
That's eating window.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be good to do 16-8,
Yeah.
but the thing is that after training in the morning, I feel super hungry.
Yeah.
So I don't know what.
Again, that's from the perspective we've already been used to having a food source after training. So it's like coming away from the concept of if you're eating, let's say, like from the whole like bro aspect, eating like 6 meals a day, so having a food source but I'm just saying this as an example, then individuals that try and go into intermittent fasting will find that really difficult because they'll feel hungry frequently, right? So at that point then, in terms of leptin and ghrelin, which are your hunger related hormones, at that point they're not responding very well. The first things that I'm cracking out are always the, in the morning work blocks, the deep focus morning work blocks, I'm always cracking out the main objectives. So I look at the main objective, I chunk it down, right? I chunk it down, so that'll be objective number 1 for the day, objective number 2, objective number 3, hypothetically. Then once I've done that, I will click over to the Today tab, and then I'll lay it out. So 6:30 wake up, 6:30 wake up and look at SBA, 7 go to the gym, 8 to go to the gym, actually work out, come back. By 8:20 I'm showering, by 8:45 I'm meditating, to 9 o'clock to 9 to 9:50 work block 1. I don't put work block 1, I just whatever that work block 1 is. 9:50 to 10 break, 10 o'clock to 10:50 whatever work block 2 is, 10:50 to 11 obviously break, 11 to 11:50, no 11 to 11:45 work, 11:45 to 12 is team call, every day morning 15-minute team call, and then 12 to 12:50 work, and then 12:50 until 1:15, so I have a 25-minute lunch break, and 12:50 is when I take my phone out of my vault. So I take my second phone out of my vault, the one with obviously the one people can actually reach me at, and then I'll eat my lunch and just respond to some messages, and then 1:15 I will stand in front of my Juve, and from 1:15, so I'm standing in front of my Juve basically naked, and obviously you guys know Juve helps with testosterone, mitochondria.
The light?
Yeah, the red light therapy. And I'm standing in front of that, and that's when I respond to my messages. So the funny thing is, very few people know this, but most of the time when I'm responding to WhatsApps or Instagram DMs, I'm actually naked. Which is, I guess, kind of a weird thought. So I'll do that for 15 minutes while I stand in front of my Juve, and then 1:30 to 2 o'clock I have my 30-minute nap, and then 2 o'clock back to normal work schedule, so 2 o'clock to 2:50, next work block, 3 o'clock, 2:50 to 3, 2:50 to 3 break, 3 to 3:50 work, 3:50 to 4 break, and then sometimes I will legitimately, because maybe I've had shit sleep, or I know that I'm gonna have a bad night's sleep, because I know that I have some sort of social activity in the evening, or I just know that I'm just in a bit of a rut. So the thing is, when I'm in a rut, most people put their foot on the gas. I do the opposite, which is I just want to get as many wins under my belt as possible. So if I'm in a bit of a rut, I actually scale down my workload, because I'm like, I just need to crush the work that I do have, and then that keeps building positive momentum. So some days I will finish my deep work and like my actual tough work by the time lunch rolls around, and then the evenings is just left to my small to do. So when I'm planning the night before, I will either end my deep work at like 2, 4, or 6. And then some days I'll end my deep work at 2 because I know that I have a sales call at 2. I have a sales call at 2 for the agency, and then I have another one at like 4:30. Some days I'll have a lot of sales calls in a day, and some days I have none. And some days, the days that I have none and I'm feeling really good, then I will keep working until maybe like 6 o'clock, just doing deep work. And then anywhere from 2 to 6 o'clock there onwards, like as I said, it depends. I really auto-regulate. I really will look at things like, do I know that I'm getting a really good night's sleep? Like for example, if I'm getting 9 hours sleep, I know that because before I'm going to bed, I'm writing the next day. So I know that I'm about to get 9 hours sleep. I know that tomorrow there's no sales calls for the agency. I know that there's no calls with service providers or just exterior, things that come up, calls with the charity for the school, anything like that. And if I know that, then I know that I'm going to go hard the next day. But if I also know that there's a lot of sales calls, there's some other obligations and responsibilities, then I will end at 2, and then going back to that month view, I have my small to-do on the side. And the small to-do is all stuff that isn't immediate, but that I have to do. Just stuff like sending this file to this person, or doing this, or just annoying shit like setting up my Amex, or like sending off this paper to get American Express verified, or like my verification process, or like doing this thing. It's just stuff that's like doesn't need to be done today, but should be done within a week or 2 weeks. So I will knock that out in the evenings when like my focus is drained. Yeah. So that's how I lay out my days.
So guys, we are finished up with Meridian Mastermind 10.0. We are here with actually -1. One had to head off back to the Netherlands, but we're here with the attendees. Very intense weekend. We literally finished up. It is 7:45. I think we kicked off at like 10. I don't know if you can see around, but basically they're trying to kick us out. It's a Saturday at like 8 p.m. No one's here. We're the last ones leaving, but yeah, just want to say appreciate all you guys for keeping your energies high. I know it was intense at points, and you guys get a lot of it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, on behalf of myself, the rest of the team, and the Meridian Mastermind 10.0 attendees, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you took something out of it, and see you guys in the next one.